6:34, I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. Present are, who do I have? We have Paul Murray, myself, Jane Matthews, Peter is with us, Susan is with us. The only commissioner who is not currently in attendance is Emmanuel. And we have one audience member. And I have somebody calling me on my phone that I am going to ignore because it has nothing to do with this meeting. So the first thing on the agenda is we have to vote on the minutes of, way back to February of 2020, July of 2020, and October of 2020. Those are the last meetings that we actually held and have minutes for.
Motion to waive reading and approve minutes as presented.
I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Minutes are passed. The property manager's report. Crystal, that would be you. What do you got for us on the Royal?
So the Royal is officially 100% leased up. It's been leased up since December. Everyone's fully moved in. Still community room closed, computer room closed, but it seems like everyone's pretty much settling in. Some certain things we meet with construction about, like the fence and things like that, have been brought to our attention, but other than that, the Royal seems to be running pretty well.
Any questions or comments from anybody else? I can tell you, because I live here, that things are up and running. The laundry room is working. Most
Joe, can't hear you.
lots of tenants have laundry in their. You can't hear me. Lots of tenants have laundry in their apartments, but we do have a public laundry room, and it does get used. The other thing we have here is a fitness room, and that does get used fairly often. And it's the same tenants who use it over and over again, but they do appreciate it and they do use it.
Yes, I know it.
So is there, are we on a waiting list? Have we started a waiting list at the Royal?
So we do have a waiting list, and we actually have one unit that we are in the process of filling, as we did have someone that unfortunately passed away, but we do have a wait list for all 3 income tiers at a minimum of a year right now.
We're going to talk about that when we get to new business. Anybody else, any comments about the Royal? Any comments?
I think it may be old business, but we talked previously about grab bars at the Royal and spray for the grab bars. I think that's technically old business.
Yeah, we'll talk the safety issues when we get to old business.
Okay.
Any comments about the Heights?
The Heights right now, doing pretty well. We have a lot of things planned for starting in the spring. HVAC work, duct work, a lot of things that we plan on, fixing up for this spring. We're going to restripe, so there's a lot of things that are going to happen there at the Heights. But for right now, everything's pretty calm.
Questions, comments? Hearing none, moving right along. Old business. Now, we got 2 items on the agenda for old business, but we've got a number of items that we need to talk about tonight. I'm going to go with what's on the agenda to begin with. The first question for management, we've talked for months and months about what the plan is for the porch columns at the Heights, the bottom trim that got destroyed because of the weed whackers. Do we have any plan for what we're going to do about that? Obviously, we're not going to do it here in the winter, but what's the plan?
So we are going to repair them all this spring. We actually let Jane know that also. We're going to repair them all this spring, and then the plan is that Delmo and I, every week, will be driving the community and keeping an eye on them so that we catch it in the moment and not at the end of the season when all of them are damaged. So when we catch it in the moment, we'll have them repair it then. But realistically, they're going to keep getting damaged because we need to weed whack that area, and there's nothing that we can do to prevent that unless we let So we're gonna fix them all and then keep an eye on them and repair them as they damage.
Um,
One observation I've had is that
Hang on, wait a minute, one at a time.
wooden posts weed whackers will do damage to wooden posts as well as plastic. And that kind of brings up the whole question of, should we be planning on a longer term basis to replace the fences after so many years and be budgeting for those kinds of repairs as well as the short term, more cosmetic repair?
Well, I mean, we have an issue, and the first question that comes up is there a material, is there an opportunity to substitute material, what was originally used in construction, with something different that will stand up better to what's going on a day-to-day basis?
and my question would be,
My question is, posts always this way, like were they last year, the year prior, or is this something new? Like, does this happen every year?
the posts have been gradually getting damaged over the last 2 years that this has been on the agenda. This is not even, excuse me, Joe, not even months old. This is a 2-year-old
Got it. Okay.
issue. The post, the outline of the post, if you go and look at it,
Oh, I've seen them, it's very bad.
it's
So
actually,
I'm thinking though, if we repair it like timely, will it look as bad?
The issue, Crystal, is not whether we know we can repair it. The question is, what's the cost to repair, and what's the timeliness in getting the repairs done?
and how are they going to repair it? Telling me at this point that they're going to do it in the spring, I believe you, but I want to know how they're going to fix it, how much it's going to cost. Have they looked at all of these posts? I can't take another 6 months on something that is an eyesore and looks bad for the development. So I want to know specifically. We've looked at it, the estimate is not, we're going to fix it in the spring.
A landscaper actually came out today, because we're in the process of getting quotes for landscaping, and Mello showed it to them today. No quotes yet, obviously, but I will share the quotes with you once I get it.
So we still don't have
I'm
any,
trying to get something said here, and what was this?
Yeah, well, I'm wondering, like, I have to say, like, this is probably gonna show my ignorance. These are the pillars, correct? That are
Yes.
holding up the,
yes.
That is correct.
why can't we, the whole idea is to prevent a weed whacker from getting close to the pillar to cause the damage. And certainly one way to do that is to plant something by the pillar that has to be whacked around. Like, landscapers come to people's properties and they have to use the weed whackers close to beds, and do so without damaging the structure of the house. So should we be looking at something that's more of a permanent and aesthetically pleasing solution to this, rather than looking at constantly repairing something because it's going to be damaged if we don't do something else?
Yeah, to your point, Susan, I mean, I think at this point, we certainly, after 2 years of talking about this, we certainly should have some kind of concrete plan or something in front of us that we could look at, to Peter's point, and say, this is a temporary fix, it will break again, or this is a permanent fix. I don't know enough about the structure. If you look at it, the decorative base of the columns is actually styrofoam. And what has happened is, as the weed whackers and the snow plows and the snow shovels hit it, and if they're careless doing it, it erodes away and erodes away. But I'm frustrated because I feel like at this point we should have something we could look at to approve, or say, to Peter's point and to your point, there should be a way to either protect those columns with, something. I don't know enough about structure.
Even if it's, I think we have to explore options that are more of a permanent solution rather than an annual repair approach. So looking at, creating some type of a space between the columns and the the grass that needs to be whacked close to it, like needs to be kept trimmed close to it, either like creating little beds that we put gravel in, some nice like stones, or putting a plant there that someone is going to see and not going to use the weed whacker to damage or destroy because it's clearly, part of the landscaping. To me, that makes the property look nicer and alleviates the issue of constantly damaging, a pillar. I mean, this just doesn't make any sense. And Jane's right, we've been talking about this for years. It needs to get solved. So perhaps come back to us with, okay, we can do this, which is repair, and this is how much it's going to cost to annually repair, and how much time it's going to take for Crystal to drive around the property, which just, to me, doesn't seem like a good use of her time, watching landscapers to make sure they aren't damaging these columns. Or we could look at creating a little gravel, a nice little gravel bed around them so that the weed whackers don't get within 6 inches of the column. Or you could put a shrub there that creates distance between the lawn and the column, and will, the landscapers will avoid it with the weed whacker.
No.
I mean, I think, and then we need to have this by the next meeting, so we can make a decision about what we're gonna do for this spring.
Yes, we need-
Commercial property that hasn't had this issue, whether it be a residential property or a club or a commercial property that hasn't tried to and found a solution to, fencing and landscaping so that one is not killing the other.
Yeah, I mean, here we are, how many times have we had this conversation and we still have nothing in front of us to...
Correct, and that's why I'm saying for the next meeting, my expectation, I don't know if everyone else is in agreement with this, is that we will have a recommendation in front of us with costs and timing for how best to address this problem.
Or options.
Yeah.
Option, that's fine, option, exactly. I just put something.
Excuse me,
We
can
can
I?
make a decision so that a decision can be made and action can be taken and the problem is resolved. That would be my hope.
Can I add something to that? I'm assuming, and I always hate to make assumptions, but in this case, I'm assuming the material that was used during the original construction was chosen based on some cost reasons. And obviously that material has not held up well. So what I need, Crystal, what I need by next meeting is, first of all, the existing columns have to be repaired. That's step one. They've got to be repaired. I would like to know what alternate materials could be proposed for the repair. I know we were trying to save money during the initial construction, but that turned out to be a false economy because we really didn't save any money because the material didn't hold up, and so now we've got to replace it. So I would like some recommendations from whoever's giving us the estimates, other materials that could be used for the decorative base on these columns that will hold up better. I also need a suggestion, or we need a suggestion for alternatives so that either the weed whackers don't come close enough to the columns to cause more damage in the future. And as Susan suggested, that could be a gravel barrier where we remove the grass far enough away from the base of the columns that we don't have this problem recurring. Could be a different type of planting, a small shrub, a boxwood or something that doesn't need to be trimmed with a weed whacker. But those are the kinds of suggestions that we need to have by next month. And cost alternatives for each and every one of those different types of alternatives. Are we all?
What it's gonna cost to fix them initially.
Are we all in agreement? Yeah, number one on the agenda, what's it gonna cost us to fix the damage that's already been done? Number two, simply fixing it with the same material, which is subject to the same issues, does not seem to be practical. What options are available to us? What are the costs? And then a schedule for when this work is going to be accomplished.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay?
and then just on the subject of to add on to what Peter was, was bringing up, this idea of a repair and replacement plan. I concur with his suggestion that we investigate such, because the Heights is now, coming to the point where we might be needing to make some capital repairs or improvements just because of the number of years it's been in existence. So what are the items that, we should be anticipating need to be looked at, or, we should be thinking about in like the next year, 3 years, 5 years, that may need to be replaced or repaired, just as part of the normal course of doing business and having, people living in the buildings and using the property and the facilities. I think that would be helpful so that there's a thoughtful plan in place for tackling all of these, and we aren't dealing with a situation because it's become a crisis. We've actually planned, anticipated, and budgeted for this work.
And that would be tied into the budget, which would start in July, I believe.
Okay, that's the time
Work through and put together what we want in the next year's budget for maintenance items versus capital items. And then have it planned out so that we have year one and year two, let's say, and we know things are going to change. We know it's going to be the slinkiest we haven't counted on. But I think we're at the stage of the Heights we need to be doing that. And my experience with buildings and manufacturing buildings is if you don't do the maintenance and don't do the capital upgrades, it will cost you so much more long term. And so you're really much more prudent to put together a game plan and stick to it year in and year out. Over.
We are in the process right now of working out a capital plan. That is our, that's what we've been doing. So we're working on a list of that. So once that's ready, we'll present it. But we'll share it. We are working on one.
Can we get a time?
When do you anticipate having that prepared?
Yeah.
Given what Peter just said is, part of our annual budget process. If by July we've got a budget in place, I would hope that this capital projects list would be available to us, by like May. Is that?
I'm thinking sooner than that. That one I have been working on it he just started the maintenance supervisor, so little by little him and I are trying to like figure everything out together, but we already have a list going, so we should honestly have it very soon.
Perfect. Okay, great, thank you.
All right.
Okay. Next item that's on the agenda is we need to begin the process of the election of the resident commissioner. We had said that we put off the election of a resident commissioner until both the Heights and the Royal were fully occupied, and so everybody was back on board and we could do this for all the residents. Okay, we've met that goal. The Royal is fully occupied and the time has come that we need to begin the process. So the way this has been done in the past is we have contacted the League of Women Voters to get their input on how to hold this election, let them be the monitors of running the election. We will put out a notice to all residents that an election is to be held and seeking names of people who wish to run for the position, and then we will hold an election. The question is, what's the timing? How quickly can we get this done?
Who typically would reach out to the women's voter? I have a suggestion. I think we should wait a little bit, hold back until a lot of people get vaccinated, because the vaccine rollout is coming soon. I saw that the governor has extended some dates for like age groups and teachers, and then so I think that we should at least get Connecticut, vaccinated, people, so that way it would be safer to run elections, have resident commissioner do all that stuff, so we can have productive meetings.
Do we have to have a live election? Could this be a written ballot election? I understand the concerns, and definitely with I would say the Royal Morgan, the Heights, it's a real concern. But, that's one of the questions I have is what form does this election have to take? If it has to follow the state election guidelines for local municipal elections, that's one thing. If we can do something where we can have a virtual meeting where the candidates can speak, and then have a date where there's an election where people can have forms and have a ballot box, then maybe we can do this sooner than later. But I'm just not sure if there's any protocol we have to follow, or whether we can work with the League of Women Voters and create a protocol that's appropriate for the conditions we're currently living in.
The question, Peter, is a valid one. Fawn, what I would ask you to do is to please reach out to the League of Women Voters. They are the ones who did this in the past. Touch base with them and find out what their input is in terms of what options we have available to us. Unlike a community election, we know exactly what the electorate looks like. These are our tenants, and they're the only ones who are eligible to vote in an election. The question that comes up, and that I don't have a good answer to, but again, the league, since they did this for us the last time it was done, might have an answer. Who gets to vote in this election? Is this limited to one vote per household? Is it one vote per adult member of the household? Again, these are questions I do not know the answers. I would think the League of Women Voters would have answers to these questions. And then, Peter, I agree with you. Fawn, while I appreciate what you're saying about the virus, this does not have to be an in-person election. This can certainly be done virtually or by mail or by, people come to the office at both facilities to deposit their rent check. There's absolutely no reason why they can't deposit a ballot via the same means. And the question of people voting multiple times is totally non-existent, because we know who the tenants are, and we will issue ballots, an official ballot, one, depending on what the league tells us, one per household or one per tenant, and then collect the ballots. Give a time frame, a week, 10 days, collect the ballots, and let's get on with our lives. The bigger issue for us, under the rules of the pandemic, are to figure out how candidates can get their message out to the tenants in terms of what it is, why they think they're the best qualified person to be the tenant representative.
Well, the way we do
So the league, I would assume that we turn this whole thing over to the league, so
Yes.
that we aren't involved, we aren't collecting ballots in any office that is an office of the housing authority. Would be completely run from start to finish by the League of Women Voters.
that's what was done last time, yeah. The league ran it, and, go ahead.
Because we do not want people dropping off their ballots in our offices.
Susan, I don't know where the ballot, but I'm simply making the point
Yeah,
that people
so-
drop their rent checks off, so the mechanism for doing this is,
This meeting is a public meeting. I would imagine it's being taped and it might be rebroadcast on Channel 79.
It
I want
is.
to make sure that we're clear for the public at large how the election will be handled. That's all. I just think that it's important. And I also want to understand, because I was not involved the last time we had an election like this. So, if the league is willing and able, then I think that's the thing to do, is to completely turn this over to them.
the league is where we went to for advice. The last time we did this, and I would expect that's the appropriate place to at least start. So Fawn, I would ask you to please pursue that, and by next month have some information for us. If information becomes available before the next meeting, you can always send it to us via email. But let's at least get the ball started, because we need to get this done.
Okay,
Okay?
yeah.
Okay.
We're still on old business, yeah?
Yes.
I met with both Fawn and Crystal the other day, and many of the things that are on our old agenda, they are aware of. But I want to go through them with the board. one by one. Last time we met, we talked about there was going to be, we talked about the trash being placed outside of the bins. It was a big, I walked around and looked at the trash in various areas. I sent pictures, I hope all of you received them, in one trash area between building 21 and 22. There is still a taken apart motorcycle or motorbike, children's toys and car seats sitting there. It is yet to be removed. We were told at the last meeting that there was going to be signage put up in the trash areas indicating that it was a lease violation to put trash outside of the bins, and some signage or verbiage that said, you know, things can be taken to the town dump or something. No signage has been put up, and that motorcycle scooter is still sitting there along with children's toys and stuff. And I think, did everybody get the pictures I sent?
Yes, I got it.
Yeah. Where are we with the signage and,
Delmar is going to call junk luggers to get rid of all that stuff.
I'm sorry?
He's going to call like a junk lugger company to get rid of all the stuff that we can't just dump in the dumpster.
Who is going to call?
Delmar, the maintenance super.
Okay, and when?
We spoke about it this morning, so it's on his list. I'll revisit with him tomorrow again to see if he's done it, because we just met this morning to discuss it.
but what my frustration is, why has it taken so long for, you know, once again now, the items haven't been removed. I know you're busy and I know, you know, but why are we still talking about this? When's the last time we met? 4 months ago?
Well, we've had 3 different maintenance people in the last 4 months.
I know.
think that's the problem.
Yeah.
All right, so when is he going to get it done?
So again, I meet with them every morning. We just met this morning and I brought in the concerns about the motorbike again and to just call a junk lugging company. So tomorrow morning I will meet with him again and see where he is with that.
Okay, so today is Tuesday. By Thursday, I would expect an email to all commissioners giving us a date on when this work is going to be accomplished.
And then in terms of signage, it's literally just a matter of him going around and putting them up. But we did notify everyone on the trash rules via newsletter and things like that. We just haven't gotten to the point of putting them up in the actual trash room. It's not that it's not a priority. There's other things that he's doing, but we will definitely get to putting the notices up in each trash room.
Crystal, could you do us a favor? Could you include all of the housing authority commissioners on the distribution list for the newsletter for both the Heights and the Royal?
Yeah, of course.
Some of these questions may not come up then because we may know what's going on, but it would be very helpful for us to know what's being communicated to the population up there, and that way, you know, we're on the same page everybody else is.
Sure, absolutely. Great idea.
We also talked in our previous meetings about the problem with people going the wrong way, exiting the Heights. We were told that a portable, I call it a portable fence, was going to be put up. We're now 4 months.
Yeah, that's, we tried to call the company again and again, and it's just not deliverable. You know, it's not being delivered because they're back order, they keep on saying due to COVID delay. So it's on my agenda to, you know, every single other week to like, hey, is this coming or where's what's happening?
Well, I'd like at this point I'd like at this point, to be honest with you, to see the work order, to see the bill for it, to see what it is that they're doing, and then perhaps go to another company. Again, we're 4 months with these things, you know, pending, and I feel bad for the commissioners having to once again We're going over the same stuff over and over again. And I
We are
know,
also fighting battles getting tenants dishwashers. A dishwasher came in just 5 months ago. So we're battling.
5 months later, you mean?
5 months later. 5 months later. So we're battling all these other issues with the COVID delay.
Okay.
So, the fence is very important. We're on top of that, but we're also trying to get appliances in for people that don't have, like, they gotta have a functioning stove, functioning dishwasher, refrigerator. It's just a nightmare with all this, it's delay. And it's nothing that we try, we call, we do we went to a totally different new company. We went to Lowe's to get appliances because our appliance store still hasn't given us the delivery date. And, this woman was waiting for 5 months for that. So, yes.
you've been waiting 5 months for a dishwasher?
We keep on trying to call and we're trying to prioritize what is, the needs of the tenants first within their home for the dishwasher, the fence, for everybody so that, we don't have a wrong way driving.
All right, my question is, a purchase order has been issued for the fencing
Yes.
so
Well, they charged the credit card.
Yes,
we're just waiting on delivery of the product.
yes.
Okay. I can speak to that from my own business. Deliveries are just abysmal. Getting any product, I can't get product in my own store. I sell birdseed. I cannot get birdseed delivered accurately week after week. Everybody's suffering from the same problem. So I understand that, but I want to make sure the purchase order's been issued. We're simply waiting for the company to deliver the product. As soon as it gets delivered, we'll get it installed.
Correct, absolutely. And even when I'm sitting at the Heights, my windows are always open. I even called the trash company the other day. I said, talk to your drivers, they're driving the wrong way. Don't do it. WB Mason, FedEx, whoever I catch, I say something to.
We'll keep following up on it. Next.
the battery replacement, issue.
These are for the smoke detectors.
For the smoke detectors. Except for the fact that I happened to be home when the maintenance guys were coming in, and rather than replacing the batteries, they were simply testing them. Now, I do understand that once we caught it, hopefully the problem was resolved.
Absolutely.
Okay, I have indicated, I don't know whether to you guys, but certainly to the board, we would have need to have purchased approximately 200 and some odd batteries in order to replace all the batteries, right? I mean, there's 106 units here, you know, you can do.
We did not replace batteries here at the Royal. This was only done at the Heights.
Only at the Heights, only at the Heights, I'm only talking about the Heights.
Yep.
So I would feel comfortable feeling that the job was done if I could see a receipt for the purchase of that many batteries.
Well, we do have batteries on stock also.
We have batteries stored that we order some, but we also have to certify and notarize with the fire marshal that we did all this. So we sent in all of our certification that we did. So it is done. We'd be happy to provide that to you, the receipts, but we do have batteries on hand already, so we ordered some more, but it has been done. And yesterday, we did explain to you what happened in the beginning with the miscommunication with
Right.
Myrna, and,
Yeah.
you know, 'cause she had to come along with the vendor,
I got it.
third-party vendor, and that got resolved. Every battery is in. Yep.
So that project
As
is,
far as the fire marshal's concerned, the Heights is now up to code for
Yes.
mobilized.
that project is completed.
Yes.
And it has my signature on it, so I can guarantee you that we changed every battery.
Okay. Next.
The washer dryer bills. The other thing that I brought up more than once, but at the last meeting, the tenants have expressed concern. If you do the math and you're paying $50 a month for a washer dryer, and this, I'm only talking at the Heights now, this will obviously come up here at the Royal eventually, we have now paid approximately $4,000 for these washers and dryers. I was told originally that the reason that we were charged the $50 is to offset the water bill. The washer dryers, the washer itself uses approximately 4 gallons of water. The dishwashers that we have in our apartments use 4 gallons of water, and everybody has a dishwasher. So, and when I spoke to Crystal and Fawn about this yesterday, their indication was that they have brought this up to Todd several times and have gotten no answer and no response. So I don't, even if you rented something from Rent-A-Center, rip-off of the century, at this point you would have paid for your washers and dryers. You know, I don't just speak for myself, but for the tenants here saying, you know, we've now paid approximately $4,000, those of us who've been here for 7 or 8 years, for washers and dryers. I don't see why that continues. I don't understand why we can't get a simple answer on it. I see the bills, we all see the bills for, as far as I know, for water and sewer and other things. You've got approximately 88 people with washers and dryers, is my understanding. I may be slightly wrong on that, times $50 per month. You know, Crystal and Fawn, I do believe you brought it up to Todd, but no answer in 4 months, and I know Joe specifically said to you, I want an answer on this, I want to know why. And here we are yet again.
Let me also comment on this one. Quite frankly, we are new here at the Royal, and I believe everybody who has requested a washer and dryer has finally gotten a washer and dryer installed in their unit. But quite frankly, it took a lot longer than one would have expected for this to happen. And the company that we're using to do the washer and dryer and the washers and dryers that are in the public room, the maintenance is awful. When there's a problem, the last time we had a problem with one of the washers up on the second floor, it took 2.5 weeks before they finally got somebody out here to fix it. And that's just completely unacceptable.
So we actually got to the bottom, I think, finally, of CSD and how to properly enter the service request to get them to come out. And not here, luckily, because everything is new, but over at the Heights, we use them also. And we've been able to get the service request and get them to come out within 48 hours now. Where we were having the same issue, we would enter a service request, 10 days would pass, we wouldn't see them, we could call in, they didn't find the request. But I believe at this point, I have a direct contact now. I email her, she gets back to me within literally half hour. So I think we have officially solved the issue of them coming out on a timely manner.
And in terms of the rental units, I've known of at least 2 tenants at the Heights who had units that failed and had to be replaced, and it literally took a month to get a replacement unit out there. Fawn just said earlier, we had to go outside of the system to get equipment. What are we doing? You know, we're paying this company a lot of money. What are we doing to ensure that our tenants are getting the service that they deserve?
So in terms of ordering that, everyone's hands are tied, and the only thing they're saying is that where they make the machines, where they make the washer dryers, there's no workers. So they're not being made like they used to, and in terms of that, nothing's gonna get better there until we finally get back to normal.
So when you went out to Lowe's or Home Depot or PC Richardson's, there were no washers or dryers available? Because
No, I had to order different models, different colors, at different loaves. There was 3 different loaves that were delivered. It was like, oh, this one's in stock, oh my gosh. When I go to the cart, it's gone. It's a disaster.
I can attest to this fact, having tried to replace a refrigerator. There are appliance delays like 3 to 5 months out at this point. It is impossible to find an appliance. My sister and brother-in-law finished a house last summer. The refrigerator was ordered, then it was canceled because it was not even available, and they had to wait 2.5 months for a refrigerator to show up on a house where they had picked out the refrigerator and placed the order like 6 months earlier. Appliances are impossible to come by. I have nothing but sympathy for you guys with that issue and for the tenants, because it is impossible to find anything.
All right,
We
so,
have been issuing rent credits as much as we can. We do work with the tenant. We call them and try to update them as much as possible. But if repairing, we can try. We can get them out now. We figured that out. New appliances, we can't.
all right, so, well said. Let's go back to the issue of, continuing to charge $50 a month rent on the washers and dryers that 4 months ago, Joe specifically said, I want an answer on this, because I brought it up before. And I understand if you've spoken to Todd, and if you didn't get an answer, for whatever reason, but my logic would be then you would have come to Joe and said, Joe, you specifically said, I want an answer on this, I can't get you an answer, and let Joe get involved with Todd, if that's where the stalling is. I don't know. I can understand.
Answer.
Yeah, I think Todd's on our call, right?
Todd's on the call.
Okay, so
where are we at with this?
The cost of the washers and dryers includes the cost for the water and the sewer bill that goes with that. It also pays for any repairs, replacements, and obviously the monthly usage. So everyone has an option for two options for each of the properties. They can either have one in their units, which comes at this cost, and it pays for all of these other costs that go with it, or you can use the central laundry system.
But Todd, there is some flaw, I think, in your logic. If you look at the water sewer bills, and we're only really looking at the water bill, because sewage is something every time we all flush the toilet, you're saying that, what are you saying?
Water and sewers combined.
The water and sewer is combined, yes, absolutely. You're saying that the $4,000 that I paid for my washer and dryer is acceptable in affordable housing, that there isn't some way that you can say at a certain point, that this is the only option, and looking at the water and sewer bill, if you take $50 times 88, whatever that math is, that amount of money is coming in, and is that not in excess of the water and sewer bill? And is that not in excess? And I understand people are making money, that people make money on this. Clearly, there's a shell company behind this that's making money on it. This is America. But clearly, you want me to go back to the tenants and say, suck it up? Too bad? We can't come up with any solution that will allow a tenant that is paid $4,000, I could go to Rent-A-Center. Telling me it's only A or B seems to me cruel. It seems to me unkind. It seems to me that you're not putting yourself in the place of a tenant who wants a washer and dryer for all the convenience of it, but throwing up a water and sewer bill. I'm sorry, Todd. It doesn't.
All right.
And the fact that you haven't gotten back, it's been months and months and months. I'm almost finished. It's been months and months and months. We've had this discussion more than once, and apparently Crystal and Fawn, and I believe them, brought it to your attention. They got nowhere. They didn't go back to Joe, and you're telling me to go back to the tenants. This is what I'm going to tell them.
Let me make a comment.
I think in the past Crystal and I have mentioned that, yes, you have two options. The main central washing machine, and then your own, and that money does go for, so that we've always said, that's the answer. So there's always been that answer. Your deeper questions, yes, Todd has to answer that, but we've always maintained that, there's those two choices that you have right now.
Right, I'm looking for the justification.
Excuse me, let me make a comment. And I think I can give you the justification. I chose not to have a unit, a wash and dryer put in my unit. where I'm located on the second floor, the community laundry room is right down the hall from me. So it's no big deal to go down the hall and use those machines. It's, right now, it's just me, because Patty's not here. So I'm only doing laundry for one person. And it cost me $1.25 to do the wash and $1.50 to do the dryer. So that's, you know, $3 each time I do a load of wash. And if I do it once a week, and then one extra load to do things like the sheets and stuff like that, that's 5 loads a month at $3. That's $15. The cost that I pay to rent a machine is to have the convenience of not having to pay each time I do a load of laundry, and have the unit right there, have the washer and dryer right in my own unit. So that's my personal convenience of being able to do it. And the cost that I am paying for that is the additional cost of the rental. And that's just a fact of life. That's not something we're inventing. That's you want the convenience of having the unit in your individual apartment. That's what you're paying for. If you don't want to pay for that personal convenience, then you pick up your laundry, you go down the hall, and you use the...
Well, we don't go down the hall, we go outside.
At the Heights, it's a different story, because you gotta go outside.
You gotta go outside.
Here at the Royal, you can stay within the building.
Right.
But the reality is, that's the charge. The charge is for the personal convenience.
Okay, I hear you. I don't not understand it. I'm asking for,
And can we get a better rental rate from another company? We can continue to, you know, just like every other service that we provide at both of our facilities, we continue to look to see, can somebody give us a better rate? The reality is, right now, absolutely not. I doubt very much if you went out today and trying to find another company to provide the service at all, we wouldn't have any success. But even after this virus thing is over, the likelihood of coming in at a lower cost is, we'll continue to explore it, but that's the cost of doing business.
okay, I don't agree. You know, we can, you know, the other board members can weigh in or not, you know, I don't agree. You know.
But Jane, I understand you don't agree. My question to you is, what would you have us do differently?
What I would have you do differently is what I suggested, is allow the tenant who has been here X number of years and figure it out, and allow the tenant to have the option to say, I will take over the washer and dryer. I have paid X amount in, you know, the washer and dryer costs approximately $900, maybe we have to pay $2,000 towards it for repairs, et cetera, and allow the tenant to have the option to say, this washer and dryer is now mine. I'm responsible for any and all repairs of it. Plain and simple. And then it's on me or the other tenant to say, no, I don't want to have to do that because it might cost $300 to get it repaired. Give the tenant the option. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, we can't do that for any of the appliances in the apartments because it just creates other liability issues related to the.
But we're not renting any of the other appliances. We're only renting the washer and dryer. I mean, I hear you for a stove or dishwasher.
You are renting the rest of them as well, right? It's part of your rent. This is an optional convenience that you have in addition to the other appliances. But so what I'm fearful of even saying this elaborate now, but the only other thing is I can maybe talk to them about is perhaps to see if there's some discount or something that can be applied for people in, I'll call it good standing, that have, you know, treated the appliances well over a certain period of time and also have been renting them for a certain period of time. And perhaps we can then, you know, apply a discount factor once you meet a certain threshold or criteria.
I mean, I think anything at this point would be better than where we are. I understand, you know, I understand completely. I'm just simply saying, you know, it isn't, as Joe said, it is an option I choose. I choose to have the washer and dryer in my unit. And I have paid that bill. You know, I think any consideration at this point would be a step in the right direction.
Todd, by next month, come back to me with some options.
Yeah, I can definitely absolutely look into that, and I'll make sure it happens over the next week, and I'll communicate to you at least what the initial feedback is, and we'll go from there so we can have something to report back next month.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Were you gonna say something, Susan?
Yeah, I guess, just thinking back to what Todd was just saying about how all of the appliances, every tenant is paying for all of the appliances in their apartment because it's factored into the rent cost of that unit. So you're paying for your refrigerator, your cooktop, your dishwasher, etc. It's just not a separate line item because it's not an option. Those come with your apartment. I just, I would hope this doesn't open up like another can of worms about, that could be thought. If we start saying you're in good standing, we're going to reduce the cost of your rental of the washer and dryer, then it doesn't become a bigger issue about, being a resident in good standing on other areas as well. Maybe I'm taking this too far, but.
Well, that's why my suggestion was to simply, give the tenant an option, whether they're.
One question I have is we have people in the Heights who are paying different rents based on their personal financial
Yes.
situation. And so their rents for their apartments are based on that. Are we charging for the washers and dryers with the same type of discount level where if you're in the
25% range or 50% range.
40% different and so on, because the other side of this, and I hear that it's a lot of money to be paid out, and I can argue it many different ways because some people may abuse appliances and the cost for the cost is extremely high and we're not making any money, even though it looks like we are. And I could argue some people take very good care and treat it like it's their own, and it is frustrating if you're taking good care of something and you're paying a lot out. But one of the other sides of this is if someone is financially unable to afford something, but they really need it because they have a family and they do lots of laundry, and has that been looked at? And all I'm saying is that I think it would be a short-term issue, which Todd's going to get back to us next month, but maybe somewhere along the line we ought to put a bigger picture saying, is there a different way of looking at the pricing and kind of make it skewed or I hate using that term, but what the apartments are relative to.
Yeah, because you're right, it's regressive, right? I mean, it's like it hits some people more forcefully than others from a financial perspective. And you're right, it may dissuade someone from choosing this option because the economics just don't work for them.
And that's why we have the main laundry facility. And it's like some apartments you rent where it doesn't come with a garage parking space. You gotta pay extra, or it doesn't come with any laundry hookup or anything like that. You have to go to a laundry. So it's just options. It's the laundry is people can in laundry they consider it like a luxury option. Like we don't have to provide it, but we can have the hookup for it. We're charging the water and sewage for it. And if you don't want to, we do have the laundry facility for you to use. So we're not forcing anyone to, economically choose not to do laundry. There is a laundry facility on site. So that's the option that people have. So we're not trying to, one income restriction or another. We charge the same. If you want this luxury in your home, this is what you're getting charged. You don't, then, we have people that don't use the laundry facility. That use the laundry facility and don't have it in because they said, oh, you know what, we choose this way. And they've been doing it at the Heights.
We need to be a little careful, folks, in how we pursue this. And Todd, when we start looking at whatever options are available to us, let's be very clear in what it is we're trying to accomplish here. We're trying to take the fact that this is a monthly charge, and any long-term resident when you start thinking about it, the monthly charge begins to be, I could go out and buy a washer and dryer for a couple of $100, and yet if I stay here long enough, I'm paying several $1,000s for this privilege of having it in my apartment. But when we start talking about a tiered structure, it has the potential to open a can of worms in that you would also have to look at the type of use that these appliances get. A single couple or a single person in a one-bedroom apartment might use the washer and dryer once a week. A family of 4 living in a 2 or 3 bedroom apartment might use the same washer and dryer
Twice a day?
twice a day. And so how do we look at the tiered structure to say, not only are you paying based on how long you've had it, but you have to pay on how much you use it. We've chosen not to do that. We've chosen to put a flat rate on the luxury of having a washer and dryer inside your own unit, so you don't have to go outside to do the laundry. And by the way, going outside doing the laundry has costs associated with it. I pay per load for the laundry that I do. As opposed to having the washer and dryer in my apartment, I pay a monthly fee, and I can do as much laundry as I want. I don't have to worry about the individual cost per load of laundry. So let's be a little careful. We don't want to open up a can of worms here that says, not only are we giving you a prorated or a tiered payment structure based on what kind of, you've been a good tenant, you've not had a lot of repairs on your unit, et cetera, and also based on how frequently or infrequently you use the appliance. Todd, come back to me as soon as possible with some options, and we'll pursue it again next month. Anything else? Okay, other issues? Hang on.
I think for the most part, that covers what's been pending. So I think that's it for what's been pending. Other than at the, we talked about the spray, the grip bars were, here at the Royal, the grip bars were not working or not adequate.
The question was raised about the safety of the grip bars, that because they're smooth and when they have soap on them, they could be slippery.
Yeah,
the question is, we were looking at whether or not there was an option to either spray something on them or to coat them with something. Have we tried? I thought we were going to test try something somewhere.
Yeah, I thought we agreed we were going to spray all of this.
Has that been done?
So we actually found it's like a brick that we ordered. Couldn't find it anywhere but Walmart. So it should be here soon, hopefully. And we are spraying it on 316.
Okay.
Or putting it on 316.
So we're gonna test it somewhere and see whether or not it addresses the issue.
Yeah, I'll let you know because Thelma personally wet the grab bar, tested to see what he was saying, and purchased it for
I
him.
thought months ago we talked about it. We already had the spray.
No.
No, we didn't have it.
No, we never had
Okay.
it. No, it was just an option.
We knew the last time this came up, we knew that something
There was
existed.
one. Okay.
We had to find it
Okay.
and get it.
Okay.
I have to tell you, personal experience, I live here, I have grab bars in my bathtub. Fortunately, I'm not yet at an age where they're really significant for me, although very shortly, I hope, I have very, very high hopes that my dear wife is going to come join me in this apartment, and it may be much more significant for her, but I've not experienced any problem. And yes, I do use soap when I take a shower. So it's
To be quite honest, we really had 2 people report to me that it was slippery. So I don't think that it's everyone. I think it might be something personal. But regardless, it has been ordered, and as soon as it gets here, we're testing it.
There's one more thing, I'm sorry. We've had a very heavy snow in the month of February, we all know that. We've had some issues with the trash areas not being cleared of snow. Some of this, of course, is because the snow removal guys are backed up. Some of it is because we were lacking a maintenance supervisor. One of the things that we talked about in our meeting yesterday is the importance of walking the property and not just, you have to look inside. What happened is we had so much snow that either you couldn't get into the trash area because it was blocked, or if you could get in, there was so much snow piled on the lids that you literally couldn't, there's maybe 40 extra pounds, and so we had trash bins that were overflowing. I think we've solved the problem with maintenance guys walking around a little bit better, and hopefully we're finished with the snow. But, it was an issue, and I think we cleared it up.
We,
definitely did. I think it was just a matter of them being new, the snow contract being new. I think it was just a lot, but we all went around, we made it very clear, and everything got clear.
Yeah.
So I think moving forward, we should be okay.
Yep.
we have a slightly different problem here at the Royal in that the necessary equipment to do the first major snowstorm we had, the clearing of the parking lot was atrocious. Crystal got on the guys who did it, spoke with them. The second snow event we had, the clearing of the parking lot was much better. The issue that we have here is the sidewalks. Keeping the sidewalks clear. This last event we had earlier this week, the weather report said it was going to turn to rain, so we did not clear the sidewalks. Now, it did turn to rain, but it didn't turn to rain soon enough, so the sidewalks were an issue. One of the reasons they became an issue, we do not have on site a snow blower. We don't have a snow blower on site because we don't have a place to store it. We can't store it indoors, and we don't have any outdoor storage facilities. This is an issue we're going to have to look into. One of the suggestions that I made earlier today, and Todd, you and I haven't had a chance to talk about this yet, but we need to get back in touch with the town of Darien. We still have an outstanding issue with the tent that they are using to house the paramedic ambulance, which is a problem because every time we get a high wind, that cover blows off the tent. It's just, and it's ugly as sin. But that's an issue that has to be dealt with. And so the thought that occurred to me is if we discuss with the town the construction of a garage facility for that ambulance, if it is the town's intent in perpetuity to keep that ambulance in that location, then we need to reopen the discussions of an appropriate garage for that ambulance. And if we're going to do that, we ought to think about adding to that garage a storage facility for the Royal to keep the necessary equipment such as a snow blower and shovels and sand and salt and things like that associated with that garage. So Todd, that's something you and I need to talk about.
Which ties into, I guess it's technically new business, is the, currently at the Heights, we are storing a tractor, a flatbed trailer, and a storage trailer. My understanding is that all that equipment actually belongs here at the Royal. Did I get that right?
Well, some of the stuff is for the Heights, but that entire green tent is all the equipment that was originally here for the Royal that they had nowhere to place.
So where was that equipment originally here at the Royal? I don't remember a storage, but it doesn't mean it wasn't here, I just don't remember it. So all that equipment was...
When we had the first event, or prior to the first event, in preparation for that, they had delivered to this location some sand and some salt. And to accommodate that stuff, they put up a tent next to the dumpster fencing here in the parking lot. And Todd will tell you, I want to put this appropriately because we are live on Channel 79. The only way to describe it is I blew a gasket because I had been going after the town of Darien repeatedly for the ugly tent that they put up, and here we were at the other side of the parking lot putting up our own ugly tent. And to me, that was just an unacceptable answer. So that tent came down, it was up for like 3 days, and down it came.
But that ugly tent is now over
I
at the
didn't
Heights.
realize that that's what happened. I was not aware that they simply moved the equipment over to the Heights. Now I'm aware of that.
They are trying to keep it as close as possible to avoid where it's actually located and letting everything over here be more prepared.
I understand. Fact of the matter is,
We know that we cannot do this for the next stores.
we need a long-term solution for this issue. It was poor planning on our part when we built this building that we did not think of the need for storage, not for storage for tenants, but for storage for maintenance equipment for the facility itself.
And I guess my question is that and I sent some pictures out, I didn't send as many pictures as I had of all the stuff that's stored there. There is a flatbed trailer. So I don't understand why that's there. I understand the tractor, the small tractor, which is very sloppily covered, but it is there. I understand that for moving snow around, but I don't understand why there's a flatbed trailer and there's another trailer that's a storage trailer, why those things are also on the property. I guess, I just don't see why they're needed, but.
I'll confirm exactly what he has.
I'm sorry, Crystal, say that again?
I'll confirm what he has there and exactly what he's using it for.
Yeah, because we're not a storage facility for the landscape or
Yeah,
for the
'cause it-
snowplow
No,
company.
absolutely not, no.
You haven't seen what he's- you haven't seen- You haven't seen what he's storing back there? You haven't seen it?
No, I've seen, but I want to make sure that why you have it. And so I can give you, James using the flatbed for X, Y, and Z. And if he's not using it for X, Y, and Z, James going to remove the flatbed on Friday.
Okay, and then,
What size storage facility would we need at the Royal? You know, are we talking about a storage shed basically for a snow blower and some buckets of sand and salt, or are we talking something more? Because in light of the fact that, you know, we probably, you know, hindsight's 2020, could have done something differently up front. Maybe we just really need to have a storage shed of some kind on the site, and not tied to the other building, but tied to our building.
Peter, the issue is where to put it. And we have to look, we can't take away parking spaces because all the parking spaces in the parking lot are currently assigned. So we have to understand, number one, what we need, number two, where we need to put it. The fact that they're storing equipment on our property that we do not own, that is owned by the landscaping or the snow removal company, I find a little distressing because I'm not aware of anywhere else where the landscaping company.
It's actually, that's very common. Yeah, very, very common that during the winter season, they store their bucket loader, their, other stuff, salt, sand, their every big equipment they can think of. So that way, they don't have to go from another site, get all their equipment on, come in, get on site, do their job, be prepared for it, and go to the next thing that they have to do. But it's very, very common and we're sharing the equipment. The Heights and the Royal has the same snow bed. So,
That's why he put everything over there, because he doesn't want to, it's only a mile and a half away. If he doesn't do that, then the cleanup is gonna take even longer, because like right now, if I was to have a fire marshal come, I have to clean out the electrical rooms. Like, we have no room for anything, and we literally did what we had to do to make sure that we could get the contractor to do his job properly.
Okay, but my concern is liability, and I'm hoping that that's been covered, but if not.
Yes, that's in their contract.
That's in the contract. Is that
Their equipment,
that's not
if they're doing that's very standard in the snow contractors. They have their equipment on site. And they say, okay, where can we put it? They put it there, and we say, okay, it's just for the season, so that they can be prepared to do their job.
Well, I appreciate that it may very well be.
With Crystal and Fawn this week on Friday, and we're coming up with a decoration that we can store the stuff. that's a permanent solution to all this.
All right.
If we could, maybe in the interim, I think you guys saw the pictures, if we could at least make the covering on the tractor less ugly. You know, it really looks like a slapdash.
Yeah, I mean, if they're gonna put the stuff there, they put a I'm gonna say bobcat, it's that type of equipment, and they put a tarpaulin over the top of it, and they just, you know, it's not completely covered, it's half, it is slapdash.
Yeah.
If they're gonna store their equipment, they have to do it neatly. It has to be appropriate.
Yeah, it makes sense from what Vaughn's saying, if that's normal in properties that, you know, but it should certainly be stored neatly, and they would need to justify, you know, an 18 or 20 foot flatbed trailer, you know, if they need it, sure, but, you know, okay.
All right, anything else under old business? Anybody else got anything else? Close under old, open under new business. What do we got on the way of new business? Anybody got anything?
No, I think my brain is just.
No takers?
Falling off the top of my head.
Okay, closing under new business. Residents associations, do we have anything from anybody? Any comments? Hearing none, moving right along. At this point, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn the public session and reconvene in executive session.
One quick thing, Joe, financial report, I think we'll want to just make one comment that we did get the financials sent out relative to the housing authority. Everything looks normal, everything looks fine at this point in time. We're in good shape on both properties, and just wanted to report that into the minutes.
Oh, appreciate that. I'm sorry, there was one other item that should have been put down under new business that I forgot. We did not have a meeting in January. This is our first meeting of the year. We do need to, somewhere along the line, elect officers. I would put that on the agenda for our March meeting.
Yes, I think that's a good idea.
Unless there's a reason somebody has for doing it some other time. All right?
March will be fine.
We'll put it on the agenda for the March
It's
meeting.
8 o'clock, I think we can move that
Okay. In that case, having completed that, I once again, the chair will entertain a motion to end the public session and reconvene in executive session. Do I hear such a motion? Second? All in favor? Aye. Folks, we appreciate you having been here, but it is now